South African Weather Service has issued warnings for thunderstorms and persistent tropical rainfall in parts of the country this weekend. A yellow level 2 warning for thunderstorms and heavy downpours are expected in parts of Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. Now, these may lead to localized flooding of roads and low-lying areas. A yellow level 1 warning for strong winds in Plettenberg Bay and Kosi Bay could result in damage to settlements and temporary structures, as well as disruption to beaches and port activity along the coast. Let's discuss now what this means and how we can prepare ourselves with climatologist Simon Gear, who's joining us this morning to tell us more. Simon, good morning and thank you so much for your time. We saw warnings ranging from yellow level 1 all the way up to orange level 5. Can you explain exactly what those levels actually mean?
Yeah, good morning. So there's a trough that is lying over the central parts of the country and feeding a lot of tropical air in over the interior. And that's resulted in conditions absolutely perfect for the development of thunderstorms, particularly over central South Africa, sort of up into the Kalahari. The forecast for Gauteng actually seems to have eased a little bit from what they thought was going to happen. So there's actually quite clear weather over parts of the high fault, but certainly over the central and western interior, there's a very, very good chance of rain today.
Now, Simon, is this level of storm activity normal for early March, or are we seeing something that should concern us?
No, I think fairly normal. You know, we do get periods of heavy rain over South Africa. Certainly, you know, the rain is going to be falling in parts of the country that don't typically get a lot of rain, you know, parts of the Northern Cape and the Northwest. So that's probably quite good news for them. But then coupled with cold fronts that are moving past the southern parts of the country, and that's just going to help to sort of strengthen the whole system and you know, and further allow those thunderstorms to develop.
Emergency services mentioned that climate change is disrupting rainfall patterns. So from a climatologist's perspective, are we already seeing clear evidence of that in South Africa?
Oh, very much so, yeah. No, we're definitely living in a climate change future now. You know, that makes things a little bit more unpredictable, certainly increases the variability. So the likelihood of very big storms increases as well. And also the likelihood of droughts, you know, so it's essentially makes the changes we normally experience in South Africa of a greater variability.
And Simon, we've been talking about the impact on roads and communities, but what about our skies? With all these severe thunderstorm warnings across multiple provinces, why haven't we heard anything about local flight cancellations or disruptions?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, flights typically, you know, can cope with this sort of thing. Obviously, the, you know, planes will fly around a storm if given the opportunity. But generally, you know, large modern jets are completely capable of landing and taking off in this sort of weather.
Sure. So what wind speeds or lightning thresholds would actually ground a flight at a South African airport? Is there a specific point where it becomes non-negotiable?
I think if there was a large thunderstorm directly over the airport, what you don't want is a situation called wind shear, where you have two different directions of wind happening right near each other. And, you know, that can be very, very dangerous because the plane could suddenly lose uplift. I'm not aware of what the specific wind speed would have to be for a plane to be grounded there.
Sure. Now, South Africa is considered a water-scarce country, and yet sometimes we experience heavy rainfall and flooding. How do we reconcile these two realities?
Yeah, so South Africa has very variable weather. So large parts of South Africa are essentially semi-desert, but they will still get occasional big thunderstorms. And so we have this, you know, these systems which are very difficult to predict, and so being a farmer is very tricky in these areas because you can't necessarily know season to season what you're going to be expecting. Different to Europe, where they'll have quite soft, regular rain over large areas. South Africa isn't like that at all. We have big convective thunderstorms, so when it rains, it really does rain. But those can also be quite isolated, and so difficult for particularly stock farmers over the Northern Cape to necessarily plan ahead.
Sure. Before we let you go, Simon, and very briefly, if there's one key message you'd like South Africans to remember when they see these weather warnings, what would that be?
Yeah, I mean, don't think that just because you drive a big SUV, you can drive over a low bridge, for example. You don't need that much water flowing over a bridge or across a road to be able to carry a car away. So take them seriously, don't take any risks, and just be safe and sensible.
Thank you so much for your time, Simon.
Cheers, Noel.
That was climatologist Simon Gear. Stay safe.